There's a crisis among our young people. They live in a culture that glorifies violence. They play violent games. They listen to violent music. They watch violent films. They're exposed to a massive amount of sex long before they're ready. And drugs are everywhere. Families, schools are being overwhelmed, and their problems are spilling over to the police and the courts, who also are being overwhelmed. America's history is one of a rising to the occasion, especially when we see 0 hour approaching, and for many of our young, 0 hour is here. But like any emergency, it's also an opportunity. Martin Luther King often quoted Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, "When it's dark enough, men see stars, and right now it's dark out there."
I was drinking every night.
My mom actually kicked me out of the house.
Sometimes you feel like screaming for help.
This guy is in the passenger seat. He's got 7 bullet holes in him.
I just hated the world, basically.
I was found with marijuana.
I was 12 and they were locking me up and locking me up and locking me up.
It was my second time actually with possession of marijuana.
I went from 125 pounds to 82 pounds.
I hated everybody because I could never get my childhood back.
One noted psychologist has called the passage to adulthood the hallway of doors. The hallway is safe only if the doors remain shut. Signs in the doors say things like drugs, alcohol, gangs, cheating, violence, hatred. Attractive, interesting sounds and smells emanate from behind each door. Bright colored lights pour from beneath and around the doors. In short, the doors are seductive.
There's just so many different paths to go in a young person's life. There's so many different, gangsters are so glorified in certain areas. Different drugs are glorified in other areas. It depends on what you're into. There's always someone there that has something.
Many of these doors were once locked. Today, they open all too easily. But once inside, the rooms are not so bright as they had seemed from the hallway.
You don't see anyone with you. You see this just black room.
And getting out is almost impossible, unless someone helps. From an early age, Travis Warren was in trouble.
And I just felt that was unforgivable when I was 12 and they were locking me up and locking me up and locking me up.
Imagine the loneliness, the isolation of hating everybody.
I hated the world. That's why I hated everybody, because I could never get my childhood back.
Imagine the handicap you would suffer in life if you felt you could trust no one.
I didn't trust them. I didn't trust anybody.
Imagine the helplessness.
I felt like I was being raped by the system. Like they were just going to do whatever they wanted to me, and there's nothing I can do about it, ever.
And the despair.
I was having problems with my mother, and we got into an argument, and she got hit.
I asked him a question about his future, and he said that he had no future.
Pretty much at the point where I just wanted to give up on life. I didn't feel anything was worth living. Didn't want to move on.
Here's a young man with his life in front of him, and his expectation was that he wouldn't be around in another year to 2 years. And it just was hard for me to even understand that.
Ryan Schubert was the all-American girl till a series of bad choices put her at rock bottom.
There's only so many paths you can go. You can either stick it through and make it out and never look back when you leave. You can take off, do what you want, or you get involved in drugs and sex and more than likely wind up dead somewhere because you get involved with the wrong crowd. And I decided that I was just going to leave. I said no more. And that's when things went downhill because everybody's your friend until you have nowhere to go. Everyone's like, oh, we'll help you out, we'll take care of you. No one was there.
They get into a wrong crowd. They buy into peer pressure. And when they start doing drugs, they get into alcohol, they're not going to school anymore, they get more distant from their families.
I've hit rock bottom at this point in my life. I was drinking every night. I didn't know where I was sleeping. I was staying the night at different guys' house. Like I was on a bad roll. And then all of a sudden I run into friends. These are my friends, but these are like the druggy people at school. And they're so willing to accept me in their life, and I'm like so willing to let them because Somebody wants me around. Somebody wants to take care of me. These people are my family now. I looked around one day and I saw at least 20 people laying on the floor, on the couch, in the bathroom, in the bathtub. I was like, I can't even go to the bathroom, you know, if I wanted to. In the 3-bedroom apartment in El Cajon, and it's like dead summer. It's so hot, ridiculous. And I was like, I gotta go home. I can't do this anymore. It's old. Like, I don't have fun anymore. I get high, I don't have fun. I'm just mad all the time. I'm a mad person. I went from 125 pounds to 82 pounds. I was 82 pounds. I look at myself, people look at me, they're like, what happened to you? I had long blonde hair down to here, I cut it off to here, dyed it black. Like, the person that I was gone.
In another time, if your toaster broke, you took it to a repairman. Today, you throw it in the trash and go buy a new one. It's disposable. We've all heard of the me generation and the lost generation, but the saddest title of all may be the disposable generation. Like a toaster, if the young aren't working out, throw them away, give up on them, ignore them, hide them. They're disposable. But we all agree there are no disposable young people. Dr. King said, we're caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Every person is precious, even the broken ones.
And all of a sudden comes this place you're told to go to called the Youth Advocacy Innocent Addicts Program and talk to somebody.
3 years ago, the court ordered me to see Dr. Carter. And when I first met him, I perceived him as like another part of the system, you know, just trying to use me.
When they come into our program, they are angry at the world. They don't trust anybody.
I was like, man, I don't want to go to this program. It's going to be boring.
You feel like you don't want to open up, but Joe and Dr. Carter seem to like pull it out, you know, so it's like, it's pretty cool.
I got along with everybody, and it was just like a neutral zone. Nobody was, no gangs or nothing. It was just a neutral zone. Everybody came, got along.
Basically, we keep it real. I know what they're going through. I know the pain they feel, but I also know the pain and the loss that is associated with drug and alcoholism.
We learned about alcohol, marijuana, all the drugs and everything, and the consequences that they give to you. And there's a lot of things that people actually think they know, but there's a lot of people don't know, and it's real good to learn that stuff, because then it'll make you think twice.
If it wasn't for this program, I probably wouldn't be here. I'd probably be out in the streets, you know.
It is a hard road, because not only do you have to change your life, you have to change your friends, you have to change your atmosphere, you have to change everything you've become accustomed to. I don't want to go back to being that person, that place, or that skinny, ever.
An act of cruelty creates a ripple in a pond we call the world. We sometimes despair at its ongoing destructiveness. But goodness has power too. Something as seemingly insignificant as a smiling face or a kind word can work miracles with a ripple of waves that can change the world. Officer Benny Jolly is a 17-year veteran of the San Diego Police Department, a DARE officer, a former recipient of Youth Advocacy Innocent Addicts Humanitarian Award, and now a member of the YAIA Board of Directors.
The young lady behind the desk looked at me and she grabbed her face and said, "Oh my God, it is you." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Don't you remember me?" And she said, "I have your picture. I look at your picture still."
I told him everything. I told him how he changed my life.
But she started crying. And tears was rolling down her face, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you."
Carmen Dina tells the story of being abused for 5 horrible years, starting at age 9, by someone she should have been able to trust.
During that time, I also tried to commit suicide.
She said, "You saved my life."
Just seeing him again is like reminds me how happy he made me those days.
She said, "I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know where to turn. I felt like killing myself. I didn't know what to do. And you came into my classroom and you started talking to us and you started talking to the class and telling us how special we were, and that there was no one in this world like us, and that we were unique, and that there was a reason that we were put here on this earth.
Sometimes you feel like screaming for help, but if there's more people like Officer Jolly to help us, like Dr. Carter, then it's, you don't feel alone. You feel like someone's there to listen to you, someone's there to help you, like someone understands you, someone understands what you're going through.
She was able to hold on to the memory of a man who cared, a man who smiled, who encouraged her, told her she could overcome the worst obstacles. She remembered and she believed. Travis had lived in his own kind of isolation. He couldn't trust others.
I've never been in any other program like this. I've been in plenty of programs, drug programs, and it all ends up the same. It's like once you get in trouble again or something, it's like they seem like they don't care. They give up on you real quick. Dr. Carter in this program always stayed with me. And it wasn't just him, it was other people in this program too that I learned to trust. Even at times where I let him down, everything he said that was going to happen to me happened. That's why I always came back. And that's why I'm here today.
I wanted Travis to meet Bob McNeely.
We spoke about the young man on many different occasions, to the point that he developed an interest in me to want to meet the young man.
When Dr. Carter introduced me to Bob McNeely of the Union Bank, at first I was just like, who is this guy? I mean, I don't know him, he don't know me, why would he ever care?
That's why it's so important, I think, for us to do the work we do with youth and get them turned around, because they really can command their own destinies. And in his case, to hear him say that he had no hope because of what he had experienced in the past really was very revealing. There are some imprints when people are young that are made on their minds that will cause them to either excel or to fail.
I realized that he was just like Dr. Carter. He was another black male trying to help me succeed.
The investment in our future is with our youth. And if we don't really focus on that, then we're only a couple of generations away from total destruction, and that's not a direction I want to go in.
Within our organization, we have developed a tracking system to where when a young person enters the program, we can track them from beginning to end.
The person that sits here today compared to the person that sat in Dr. Carter's office back in 2001 is a 180 degrees turnaround.
We have now, we found, from an 80 to 90% success rate. The courts are calling us the miracle workers. I tell every one of the young kids that come to my office, and they can tell you I say this. I say, one thing I will do, I will never lie to you, neither will I ever break a promise.
Everything he's ever said to me has always been true.
We wanted to put a program together that was all encompassing, working with young adults, including the families.
They come into this organization and they feel someone cares.
Our young people today can sense if you really care about them.
If you don't have a good family life at home, you have one here.
All their lives, they've had people to tell them that they couldn't make it, that they were no good. And when they come here, we let them know that they can make it and that their life can have meaning.
I feel that I have become a much more confident and way better person than I even used to be. I think I can accomplish anything.
We refuse to give up on a young person, and that is a part of the success.
They're there for you no matter what.
We don't give up.
I let him down, and he was still there. That's why I love this man, because he was always been there for me no matter what.
I'm passionate about it. I believe in it. It's my very life.
glad he has the patience and the schooling and the understanding to do that, because we need more people like him.
He gives of himself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't know if I have that kind of moxie, but he does have it.
He has a greater calling, and that is to work with the youth, and it was very evident when I first met him that that's what he was really all about and what he stood for. And he subdued the passion for art, pushed it aside in favor of helping others that needed help.
We have a great number of people, some good board members, who are committed to this organization, and I would not be able to do what I do if it were not for them.
For Dr. Carter, for everyone here who's taking their time and donating their money, like, let them know it's not for nothing. I'm living proof.
On this video, you've met a few of the many young people who've come through our program. How valuable are they? How many more are like them? How many sit in darkness and need a helping hand? We can only help them if you help us. Robert Frost was most famous for his poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. The last stanza says, "The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." When he was asked, "What promises?" he answered, "Those I myself make for myself, and those my ancestors made for me, known as the social contract." We're all a part of what he calls the social contract. No one succeeds in a vacuum. Did you have great parents? How about great teachers? Perhaps one particular teacher, a coach who inspired you and helped you become the person you are. No one succeeds alone. We here at Youth Advocacy, innocent addicts, are changing lives. But we need help. We need you to stand with us. We have a long way to go and promises to keep.
The battle for freedom is fought not just by soldiers in foreign lands, but by all of us, all the time. It's fought with strategy and courage, strength and kindness. It can be fought without violence, but not without sacrifice. Liberty will endure if it lives within the young. But, as in every generation, the young need help.